What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today I wanted to mix it up a little bit and talk about Guilty Gear. I haven't talked about Guilty Gear for a while on this channel. I know the video I made about Strive got some, for lack of a better word, mixed opinions, right? But let's talk about Guilty Gear in general, Xrd, today. So we have, let's say, at least a year until Strive comes out. So if you're interested in Guilty Gear before, I wanted to upload some videos about GG, general GG things, maybe like a couple of guides here and there to kind of like guide you into Strive, whatever game it's like. So the first thing I actually wanted to talk about is actually the game itself. So one of the things about this game is that people say a lot of things about it, a lot of positive things, but one of the, I think, biggest roadblocks that people have to playing Guilty Gear is that they think the game is too hard. I hear this over and over and over and over again. Guilty Gear is too hard. There's different wake-up timings. Okay. Guilty Gear is too hard. All the characters have different weights. Okay. And I'm like, okay. To be honest, I don't actually think this game is very difficult to get into for the reasons why people say it is difficult to get into. For starters, whatever character you end up picking, let's actually go back to the character select screen. Whatever character you end up picking, there's like a general way of playing all the characters where you don't actually have to know the game system mechanics that well. I think one of the things about the game being so old is that there are people who've played it for a long time who just feel ways about playing it, and they don't necessarily always have like specific reasons for feeling that way. They just feel that way from their experience. And one of the hardest things about getting into Guilty Gear for me personally was actually listening to people who played Guilty Gear for a long time. I would highly recommend just play the game yourself. Like, take advice where you need it. Like, if you need help, like, let's say you're going to pick up, like, Johnny. Like, you're going to need help with Johnny combos. The hardest thing about Johnny is his combos, but combos are, like, something you just practice by yourself. Like, if you practice, you could do these combos. They're not that difficult to do. You just take it one step at a time and you learn what you have to learn, right? Every character has a thing that's like difficult about them, but that's something you take with the character as you grow. Like even characters are considered like simple. In the end, they have like some tricky stuff, but at a base, every character has like a general guideline of play that you can just do. It's not that difficult to do, and you can explain it in like a couple of sentences. Like take a character like Venom, like. A lot of Venom players are like, oh my god, this character is so big brain. Imagine you have never played Guilty Gear, you want to play Guilty Gear, you want to play Venom. So not only do you have the, oh my god, Guilty Gear is such a hard game to play in your way, but then you have a, oh my god, Venom is so hard to play in your way. Let's pick Venom. I'm of the opinion that Venom is not that difficult to pick up. And if you want to play Venom, you should play Venom. He's not that hard to play. He does a couple of very simple things that you could do in like an hour or two, and you just build, just step by step, you just build as you need. If you think of it that way, then the game's not that hard to get into. What does he do? You poke with your far button, you poke with this far button, right? You set the ball, you hit the ball, and run behind it. The last thing you do is you do Stinger, YRC, and you run behind it when you have 25 meter. That's pretty easy. Down the line, there will be stuff that is more difficult to do, but it's because it has specific applications or stuff like that. As far as the general game plan, what he does is simple. When they jump, you press this button. When they're here, you press this button. When you're here, you press this button. It's not that bad, right? You start from something general, and then you build up as you need. Now, the thing that's actually hard about Guilty Gear, the thing that's actually hard about Guilty Gear, is that, and this is why people feel like it's hard, but they can't express it that well. So a lot of people get lost in the sauce of like the system mechanics and like the little intricacies that the characters have. And like, yeah, that makes sense. But like I said, if you approach it step by step as you need these things, then it won't feel that bad. You'll just notice, hey, I need something for this situation. What do I do? The hard thing about Guilty Gear is that, especially if you play one of these characters, the truly difficult thing about Guilty Gear, and the thing that separates like even like mid-level players from like high-level players, this is the biggest roadblock that people run into in GG, is that there are some characters that, let's say you have a poke like this, right? So Guilty Gear is not like Dragon Ball. You can't always confirm every single hit. So you'll have times where you get this, right, on hit. And let's make it so we hit our good friend Venom. Okay. So let's say I get this hit and I have no meter, right? I don't actually get a combo and I'm slightly minus on hit. So what do I do? What do I do? Think about that. What do? You hit this and then what do you do? This is one of the hardest parts about GG. So because of situations like these situations are actually like built out, but if you don't realize this, then you'll just feel like, oh, like I have to like read the other person really hard here, or like, oh, I don't really know what to do, I'm just going to do the thing I like to do, and it's going to feel different every time and you're not going to know why. Guilty Gear has a lot of these, like, because I can't hit confirm this hit into combo, I have this much advantage, they have this much advantage, they have these options, I have this many options, and I have to pick something, and it happens relatively quickly, and you kind of have to just pick something. And if you don't realize it, then you will just miss it because it's really, really fast. It happens actually a lot. So if you go back to this Venom example, like every time you hit someone with this, he's like slightly minus. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but he's slightly minus. He can do a few things. He can put a ball out. He can delay into this. He can back off. He can put, I don't know what the input for move is. He can teleport. He can put this one out. He can do a bunch of stuff. But he can't combo. The most important thing is he can't combo. So he has this big set of options that he could do when he hits you, and you, the person who got hit, has to make a choice immediately as soon as it touches you. If you don't actually sit and go to training mode and be like, alright, he has these things, what do I do about each one of these things, and can I beat multiple of these options with one option, then you're going to get literally lost in the sauce. And every time he hits you, it's just going to feel kind of weird, or maybe random, or maybe confusing. Maybe you'll just feel it out and like kind of guess every time without realizing it. But it's these type of branching situations, because not every player is going to make the same type of choices when they do these moves. So it's these type of branching situations that make people not only feel like their way of playing the character is unique, but also create a lot more choices in a round than fighting games where you combo off all your hits, for example. Because when you combo off all your hits, then the amount of options you have after are kind of more boxed in, right? Because you're just trying to get your best situation and continue your offense. Here, your best situation, when you get a hit like this, your best situation is much more ambiguous than if I get, let's say, a hit like this, right? It's pretty obvious what the best thing to do is there, as opposed to if I just hit this move. That, I think, is truly the actual difficult part of Guilty Gear, and I kind of understand that, like, you know, like, Guilty Gear means a lot to people, and they have a lot of feelings about it and stuff, but sometimes the way that people talk about the game not only intimidate people, but they also don't realize that they themselves are getting lost in the sauce of the game, and feeling like, oh my god, this game is so technical, and oh my god, I'm so smart and doing all these smart things so fast, without actually realizing what the actual difficult part of the game is. For the end of the video, I could just like wrap up with a couple of characters like who seem really difficult when you look at them, but they're actually not that hard or complex. They all have a good general way of being played, right? And then a couple of characters that people actually underrate how difficult they can be to play, right? So here we have Dizzy. Dizzy would be an example of one, and I think Faust would be an example of the other. So I think Faust is harder than people give him credit for to play. Most people don't think Faust is that hard to play, and they recommend him for beginners. And then Dizzy is usually seen as like really complex, but I don't actually think she's that difficult to play. She's difficult in that, like, of course, you know, she takes a lot of stun compared to other characters. But in the end, like, her neutral game plan is not that difficult. If you want to pick her up, she has good air mobility, right? If you really want to pick her up and like jump into her, what you should do is learn what to do off knockdowns, because that's how she wins the game. And knockdown characters, you just plan out what you do on knockdown. That's your whole goal. So anytime like someone's like, man, this knockdown character is really difficult, it's usually not because of what they actually do on knockdown. It's usually because of other stuff. Faust, on the other hand, Faust doesn't usually win because he knocks you down. There it is. he changes the state of the game, let's say, because he throws these items. And every time he throws an item out, he has to have like a different type of neutral strategy to play around it. It can be pretty difficult to do at high level, and a lot of characters in the game are good against it. He's very good this version, like I believe he's top tier this version, but there are many characters who are good against his playstyle. And you have to be good at neutral, even though he has amazing buttons. You have to have good like spatial awareness and stuff like that. Most people say he's pretty easy to play. I don't think he's super difficult to play, but he's harder than people give him credit for sure. As far as Strive goes, as long as they keep having this thing where you can't convert all your hits, the main thing about Guilty Gear, that thing I talked about before, will still be in the game. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that is actually difficult about the game, besides like, you know, a lot of like the one-player stuff, like how heavy characters are, or like how fast they get up, stuff like that. The decision-making between players in these type of situations is really like the number one thing. The really, really, really big thing that stands out to me about GG. Let me know what you think about this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Like if you feel like it. Please subscribe. Again, thank you to everyone who's been subscribing all month, and I'll see you next time.